So today we have someone that shows that she cares about her patients, her family, and herself. Not only is she a nurse midwife, but a newly homeschooling mother balancing the woes of getting her doctorate. Let's welcome our favorite nurse midwife, Nurse Kyra, to the
Hi.
Evolve Nurse podcast.
Hello.
So, the first question that I ask everybody that comes onto the podcast, did you
Mhm.
always want to be whatever you are? So, did you always want to be a nurse midwife?
So I was one of those very odd people that knew what I wanted to be since I was 5, but I
Okay.
didn't know, the different types of midwives because there are different types of midwives, but I knew I wanted to deliver babies at 5 years old.
Mhm. So, how did you find that that's what you wanted to do?
So I'm about to tell my age, but TLC used to have a baby story come on like every Saturday morning, like the wee
Mhm.
hours of Saturday morning. And instead of watching cartoons, I would watch documentaries about women having babies. And then when that was over, Animal Planet would show my birthday, which is about like zoo animals having babies. And then I'd go watch
Mhm.
the zoo animals have babies. So I've always just been obsessed with just birth. And then my great 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 grandmother, as far back as we can go, she was a granny woman, as they would say back in those days. And so it's just kind of in my blood.
And I really love that, and I love that your mom, your grandma, and they all passed down the information that she was a lay woman.
Mm-hmm. They did.
I love that because I know when my dad was born, he told me the story about how he was a home birth baby. And so most people were home birth babies during that
Mhm.
time until they put all of the standards and stipulations around being a birth
Mhm.
worker in the South. But yes, so can you tell us a little bit about your journey coming into nursing?
So, um, I wouldn't say it was typical, but it kind of was. Graduated high school, went straight into nursing. I went to ABAC for my associates. We were high school sweethearts at the time. We went to nursing school together. I graduated about 20 years old, and somehow I got in med surge. I did not want to go into med surge, but that's what was open at the time, and
Exactly, yes.
or at least open
Always
to me.
available.
Yeah, that's all that's available is med surge. And then I have like 3, 4 classmates going off to labor and delivery. And I was like, dang. So,
Mhm.
but I won't knock med surge too much because I feel like I can recognize a sick patient before nurses who've only done L&D. Some of my coworkers, I can recognize a sick patient the minute they walk into a door.
Mm.
So those assessment skills I feel like really made my labor and delivery skills top notch. I know when a mama is sick. But anyway, I worked in med surge for a while, went back and got my BSN, had 2 babies once with all that going on. Went to Chamberlain for my BSN. And then I worked in nursing education. And I actually really, really liked that job. And it's so helpful now that I'm a midwife, because I would say 80% of what I do is teaching. So
Mhm.
that job was very helpful. And while I was doing that job, I probably applied to labor and delivery like 3 or 4 times. Like it was always, you don't have enough experience or blah, blah, blah. So then, like, I just jumped some hoops and asked some powerful people to please get me a job in labor and delivery.
Uh-huh.
And I finally got a job in labor and delivery, and it was like home. It was absolutely, I knew that was where I was supposed to be. And I was just so happy to be there. So, um, yeah, I worked in labor and delivery and went to midwifery school. I had never met a midwife in my life at the time.
Mm.
Um, So yeah, I feel like I've been in school most of my 20s.
Me too.
Right.
Me too. I'm tired. I'm
I'm
tired from
tired of
LS
school. I'm
all the
tired.
schools. I am super tired. But I do want to go back to you saying that you had to break down the boundary
I
around
did.
you getting into L&D.
I did.
And that is the story for most midwives of
Hmm.
color. Like
Yep.
either they have to venture off and start their own business, or
Hmm.
they have to know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody. Um,
Yes.
and it's so unfortunate because it's a lot of us who need us in those rooms to feel safe sometimes, because you see
Hmm.
all of the things that we're seeing around the world that's happening to mothers who are laboring, who are of
Yes.
color. And
Hmm.
so having to break down all of these walls just to simply get a spot in L&D, because let's be honest, once people are in L&D, they don't go nowhere.
Nope.
Like they are going to retire out of L&D.
Yep. They stay there. They
They
stay
will
there.
be rolling in their wheelchair
Hmm. They
before
will
they
stay
give
there.
that job up.
Yep.
Like, let somebody else get a job.
Yep. You're absolutely right. Even when I got into L&D, they didn't let me work L&D at first. I had to do nursery. And I was like, oh, I want to do nursery. I was so irritated, but I tell you what, I went from nursery and then I was doing mother baby. Before I knew it, I was doing PACU, then I was circulating, and then I became one of three nurses on that floor who could work every single unit.
And see, that's the benefit. The benefit is when they throw you somewhere, you learn those skills and
Mm-hmm.
then you turn those skills into whatever you need it to be. So
Yep.
now look at your resume. So where they think that they're doing a disservice to you, they're often not looking at the blind spots. Like, I'm gonna put her here, here, and here before I even allow her to go to
Mm-hmm.
L&D.
You're
But thank
absolutely.
you,
Yep.
because guess what you can do? If you want to move around and shake something, you can.
I can. Hey, I can resuscitate a baby. I can run an OR. I can do it all because they thought they was hurting me, but hindered nothing. So
Exactly. You
yeah,
cannot pigeonhole us.
that's right.
What?
That's right.
But
Absolutely
I
right.
would I would really like to ask
Mhm.
what the journey has been like in midwifery. Like, how has it been feeling being in midwifery? Like, birthing babies,
Mhm.
helping mothers.
Yeah.
How have you been feeling dealing with that?
Oh my goodness. Ooh. there. So I will say initially, there are some hard lessons to learn, and I think those lessons are gonna just vary depending on where you live in our country.
Mhm.
But where you live in the South, you will immediately after graduation find out that there is this much support from other midwives. And I honestly, I don't think it's nothing intentional. I think it's everybody's hanging on by the seat of their pants.
Mhm.
And nobody just people don't really feel like they can help you. So that's number one. And so you have to navigate, it's just kind of a lonely world initially. You have to navigate it through on your own. I will say initially, my once I realized, okay, I'm kind of by myself, I had to figure out what kind of midwife I wanted to be. Did I want to do home birth, or did I want to be a birthing center midwife, or did I want to be a hospitalist? And I will tell you, um, other than birthing center, I did try a little bit of home birth,
Mhm.
and I also tried hospital. I tried both. And my passion is home birth. It has always been.
Mhm.
The issue with home birth is that most of the time, the majority of it is going to come out of the client's pocket because most insurances will pay very little. Um, so then that ends up your clientele lacks diversity,
Mhm.
right?
Because who can
And
afford it?
who can afford it,
Mhm.
right? So, and I realized it isn't home birth mamas that are dying. It's women in the hospital. So I knew that's where my place was, and I kind of let the home birth thing go. I was with another midwife, and I also didn't like being on call 24/7 either. That was not fun. Um,
That's funny though.
that was
That
not
is
fun.
fun.
Ooh, man, like you don't have an off day. So, and you get blacklisted. That's another thing. You get completely blacklisted by every hospital, every pediatrician. No one will talk to you. No one will take your sick patients. No one will, you are completely isolated.
I
I hear you. Yes.
I had a home birth, and I can tell you, I thought I was crazy because no doctor would accept my baby as a patient. We had to
Wow.
find holistic healthcare doctors who would accept my baby as a patient. I
Yes.
did not know that they blacklisted y'all.
Yes. And I will tell you this, they will accept a baby whose mother has had zero prenatal care, come rolling up in the hospital. And I'm not trying to sound any kind of way, has smoked something so hard she has literally abrupted her placenta. They will take that baby, but not the one who has had very good holistic home care. They will not take that baby.
That is crazy to me, but I'm glad that you said that because now I know that they are really not. I called ho- physician after physician after physician trying to get my baby in, and then finally I just looked up what's a holistic healthcare
Uh-huh.
physician pediatrician that I can go to, and it's only two here.
Wow.
It's only two, and the one that I have, I do truly appreciate her because she does honor what we need as parents.
Wow. Yeah.
So my goodness.
And
That
congratulations on your home birth. I'm so glad that you have one. Yeah.
thank you. I'm gonna send you a picture of my baby after this because my sac didn't rupture. My water didn't bu- my
Ah,
water didn't break. He came out in the sac.
wow. That is so
Mhm.
rare. Yeah. Wow. That's awesome. Awesome. That means you were
So
left alone.
I was left alone. I think the
Mhm.
only time that they had put their hands on me was the day of.
Mm, yep.
See how much I had dilated. But aside from that, we was just being free.
Hmm. Yep.
Being free. Okay, so what do you wish you had known before entering this field outside of the loneliness that comes along with being a nurse midwife?
Um, I wish I had known how much red tape is around opening a birthing center because that was something I was, I had paid all the money for the classes and to get the credentialing and all of that. And then I really looked into the red tape with the assistance of another midwife. And I was like, oh my God, it is like literally impossible, just about. So,
Hmm.
um, I just wish that was something that I would have known. I don't know if it would have changed my decision, but we probably would have maybe moved out of the state like at some point before I got heavily involved into midwifery.
Yeah, because it does kind of block everyone out of being able to start
Mhm.
their own businesses, start and it's very important for us to have birth centers and for
Yes.
it to not always be attached to a hospital.
Mm-hmm.
But the only birthing centers that I know, most of them are like subsidiaries of hospitals.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Absolutely. And it's really
So
a false name because they say birthing center and it's in a hospital. It's like, is that really a birthing center? You know?
is it?
Right.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's it's not really. It's just a
Mm-mm.
hospital.
Yep.
It's just a hospital with a pool.
Yep. Pretty much. Yep.
It's a hospital with a pool.
Yep.
That's all it is. So, what challenges and rewards stand out most in your career?
I will tell you, I it's the immediate satisfaction that I get when a healthy baby is delivered. Um that's the most rewarding part every single time. Just a healthy baby and a healthy mama and a satisfied mama, one that I know, she won't be plagued by birth trauma, in hindsight, um, that's the most rewarding thing. And then the messages that I get, like people, once you deliver somebody's baby, You can go to the store looking like no makeup, looking a mess. They gonna know who you are.
Mhm.
They gonna know who you are, and I love that because it makes me feel like I've made a difference in this person's life. So that's the most rewarding thing.
And I think that's important for you to understand and know and give yourself a pat on the back because you are making differences in people's lives. Without
Mhm.
my doula, like my doula is now a midwife, but she was my doula
Awesome.
during my birth. But I did have a midwife team who I would not go back with. Have if I had another baby, I would use her as my midwife. But had she not been there, I don't know if I would have been able to feel like I could advocate for myself.
Oh yeah.
And you simply being in the room allows for people to feel like they can speak up for people because you do empower them to have autonomy over their health.
Yep.
And I
Absolutely.
that is such a beautiful thing, and it's such a beautiful situation, not only to be someone who has done it, but to see people in the work like you, like all the other midwives who love what they do, although it is challenging because y'all do go through the struggles, the red tape, the gatekeeping, y'all go through all of those things, but at the end of the day, y'all are doing the work
Yep.
and y'all love your patients.
I do. I love my patients. I do.
And I could tell, I could
I
tell.
do. Yep. I do.
And so I also wanted to ask, how are you balancing being a mom, being a full-time birth worker? You're also a wife
Yep.
and you're also an individual. Like
Yeah.
that's a lot to keep up with. How are you balancing that?
So first off, I remember one time. So I have to tell you the backstory behind this. I gave my family like a month's notice. So it's been almost a year ago. I gave them a month's notice and I said, "Hey, I'm going on a 10-day cruise to Europe and I'm going by myself."
Mm,
I was not asking them. I was telling them this is what I'm going to do. You find childcare. And I went. And during that time, I asked myself, what are some things that I am willing to let slack or outsource? Because I cannot do it all.
mm-hmm,
So that's the first thing. What are you gonna outsource? What are you gonna do differently? One of the things, and it's pretty small, but laundry. I will wash the clothes. I will dry the clothes. I will put them in your designated basket. You are responsible for putting your own clothes up. That's
mm,
both my 7-year-old, my 10-year-old, my husband. You got to put your own clothes up. That literally saves me hours a week. Saves me
yes,
hours. Um, when it comes to dinner and lunch, I will not cook every meal. If I cook breakfast, we eat out for lunch. Or I may cook a big lunch and it's gonna be supper and breakfast the next morning. So that's pretty much how I'm able to make that time for myself. Like I hired a personal trainer. At one point my anxiety was getting like way out of control. It was getting real bad. And I got into a really bad car accident that was kind of like the catalyst for this anxiety because I used to be almost like way too chill. And I
mm-hmm,
would come off as like I don't care. But I was just a chill person. But then I got into that wreck and it literally changed me. And I became such an anxious person. And so I'm very sensitive to medicines. Every medicine they gave me, with the exception of Buspar, which is I have some type of side effect that I felt like I couldn't deal with. So
mm-hmm,
I hired a personal trainer, started going to the gym 3 times a week. Literally after about 3 months, made a world of difference. And I felt like I could just handle the world. So, in the mornings, I dedicate my mornings to homeschool. And we're done in about 4.5 hours. Um, and then my evenings is, my readings in school or whatever I have to do for school. And if I can do that at work while I'm like watching strips, because I do 24 and 48-hour shifts.
mm-hmm,
So if I'm up there and I'm watching a baby and I'm watching a mom, I can be listening to my books, or while mom is getting her rest, I'm reading.
mm-hmm.
So it's definitely all about balance and outsourcing some things. I tell my husband, there's some things you're gonna have to do. You just gonna have to do it.
Exactly.
You just gonna have to do it. Like
I think that moms, because it's so much stigma around what a mother looks like, what
Yes.
a wife looks like,
Hmm.
that it takes away all of our individuality, and we want to absorb everything. Like, we want to do the cooking, want to do the cleaning, because technically, by society standards, we're supposed to be doing the cooking, the cleaning, the this, the that, the all of the things. But we have to look at the time that we're in. A lot of those stay at home moms were stay at home moms. They weren't moms who were working, who had businesses, who had all of these things, who were actually actively taking care of their mental health, because now they know that it may be something going on with them on the inside.
Hmm.
So now outsourcing is something that we really need to be looking at.
Absolutely,
You
for
know,
sure.
I'm about to put this laundry with that lady who do the laundry.
That's
Come
right.
on over here.
That's right. Come on. And my family is so supportive. Like, my mom will be like, "You need me to clean the house this weekend?" Sure. You can come clean the house this weekend. You need me to get the boys? You can get the boys whenever you want to get the boys. So yeah, I have a very supportive family as well.
And I love that. You have to have a village. And I tell people all the
Hmm.
time that, because I don't live in Georgia anymore. So I don't have
Okay.
family where I am. And so even if you have to build your village by paying people, like my baby's daycare is a part of the village.
That's right.
He was at home for the first year and a half of his life. His nanny is a part of the village. So since he goes to
Hmm.
daycare now, if we need time off, we can call his nanny. She's part of the village. I have a friend
Hmm.
from who was my coworker initially. Now we are connected, and she is a part of the village,
That's right.
and
Yep.
vice
I
versa.
love that.
So you have to build your village if you're not at home.
Mhm.
Because I think so many times people who leave home, they feel like they don't have anybody. You have to seek a village.
That's right. Yeah, for sure.
So, what are some things that you would tell new nurses who want to go into midwifery? What is some advice that you would give to them on this journey?
Um, New nurses in general, know what you know well, and don't be afraid to ask questions. And I feel like as a woman of color, people are going to assume that you don't know something before they assume that you do know.
Hmm.
Um, so just know what you know well. And then I think for people going into midwifery, hmm, I would say something I did that was completely probably out of the norm was I had so much experience in labor and delivery. I had even did like an agency contract. Like, I was working so much in school, more so than anybody else, because I knew I was the least experienced student.
Hmm.
And it was Georgia College's first midwifery class ever, and they only admitted 6 people. So I knew I was there because of my GPA,
Hmm.
and I did a good interview, but I knew it was not because of my experience, and I really felt the pressure from that. So I did a an internship in Ghana, and that's where I saw just so much natural birth and no technology. These midwives could tell you exactly how this baby was laying just with her hands. They just knew so much without ever sticking a needle in somebody or ultrasounding anyone. In some instances, that wasn't the best, but in most cases, I would say 90% of the time, it was literally absolutely fine. And I learned so much from those midwives. For people who aspire to be midwives, I would tell them, I don't you follow a home birth midwife, go to a birthing center, but get your natural birth experience in, because when you start at a hospital, they're going to tell you there's something wrong with natural. But there's a lot of people, there's a lot of doctors, and even some midwives that I know. I call them midwives, very like hands-on, very medical.
Hmm.
um Natural birth is, people are kind of aggravated by it, or it's even
Too long.
discouraged. Yeah. So you need to get that understanding, and develop a faith in natural birth yourself, um so that you can honestly be a protector of it,
Mm.
because the hospital setting will take that from you if you are not strong in that. So get that
And
natural birth experience. Yeah.
and I'm glad that you said that because it leads me to talk about having your voice, because
Mhm.
you are the last line of defense that mom has.
Yep.
And if you can't speak up for what's going on with the mom because you have a doctor who is agitated, a charge nurse who is like, she needs to hurry up, or nothing is wrong with them, nothing is, and this mom is telling you that, and your intuition is telling you is something wrong, but
Hmm.
the culture isn't allowing you to even feel like you can speak up for your patient. You
Yeah.
have to go through those doors knowing that you're going to come in face to face with some adversity. And since you chose this profession, you chose to be an advocate for your patient.
Hmm.
Some
Absolutely.
people, and it's not to their fault because it's kind of sort of how the system is built. But just that simple, hey, doc, can you go and see what's going on with this mom? She said X, Y, and Z is going on. Some people don't even feel comfortable saying that.
Yeah. Hmm.
And you got to speak up.
You
You
have to. I will blow that dark halo up. I'll blow it up. I will call you a million times.
That's how you
I'll
do it.
start writing on the strip. Then I start putting quotations in, like, mm,
Then I'm like, reached out to doctor, and then I'm typing on the computer real loud. Can you please come up here, help this patient? This is why I'm not on the bedside anymore. Because after COVID, honey, after I
oh,
had to argue with these doctors to just go into the
oh
room the
my
way they used to
goodness.
peer in the window and say, "Oh, the patient's okay." No, this patient is not okay. This patient just said she was coughing up blood, and she said she's gonna die, and she meant
Wow.
that.
Hmm.
She meant that because 2 days later, guess what she did? She passed
Oh
away
my gosh. Wow.
after I was
Yep. Yep.
contacting you via telemedic
Wow.
forever and ever, and you are not taking the time to come up here. Well, I'm going to force you to come up here.
Hmm.
The
And
truth.
I will tell my patients, I will say, look, I will call the doctor in the room with them. Look, because I want them to know I hear you.
Hmm.
I am advocating you, but if you need a cesarean, I can't do that. I'm doing as much as I can. I do want them to know that. So I always tell my patients, hey, I've called them.
Hmm.
But
And
luckily, like right now, I don't really have that issue. We have a pretty good team, but I have had that issue before.
shout out to good teams.
Yes, shout out to the team.
Shout out to good teams because we always need a good team, especially people who are seasoned professionals who understand what's going on, even our younger professionals who really want to know and are
Hmm.
curious and are ready to learn. Like, you really need those people in the medical field as a whole to shift the dynamic.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
when I tell you, so many people have that fear behind them of speaking up.
Yeah.
I get it. Cause that little S bar that we used to have in nursing school, how people used to be fumbling around with it, trying to talk to the doctor.
Yeah, man. Oh my goodness.
Like, what should I say to the doctor? I don't know what, they're human. They're human like we're
That's
human.
right.
So talk to them
Uh-huh.
like they're human. You don't have to be disrespectful. They don't have to be disrespectful, but we're all here for the same reason, to make sure that the patients are taken care of.
That is one thing I would say, going back to your referencing back to your previous question about advice I give new midwives. I'm just gonna flat out say you cannot be scary. You cannot be scary. Midwifery is not for a timid person. It's not. It's just the honest truth. You're gonna have to. And I was a timid person. I was a very timid, laid back person at one point. But my nursing career and working in med surge and doing all the things, it gave me a backbone. Becoming a mother gave me a backbone. Speaking up for my kids. You know what I'm saying? So as a midwife, I'm not afraid to talk to. I will go toe to toe with any doctor. I do not care if it is the right thing, because my life is on the line, their life is on the line, but most importantly, this patient's life is on the line.
Everybody on the line.
That's right. Everybody is on the lines. I'm not scared of no doctor. Mm-mm.
And I'm
Nope.
glad you said that because, whenever you enter into nursing and it's not adversity behind it, you are like a laid back, it is what it is. You're timid, you're shy. But when I tell you COVID put me, I'm talking about a
Oh,
backbone, it's still in me.
I believe it.
Because
Yeah.
you have no choice. You're looking around and you see all these people who they can't have their families with them. They are sad, they're emotional, their next door neighbor just passed away. The other one just passed away. You have to have a backbone. It
You do.
is inevitable. And then now I'm in the OR, so you definitely have to have a backbone in the OR. You
Oh,
cannot be afraid of
so
those.
you know firsthand how these surgeons can be. You
Baby, they'll
know.
throw something across the room and I'll be like, okay, so can you do X, Y, and Z for me?
That's right.
My scrub texts are like, he was just trying to go off on you, and all you said was, okay, and can you do X, Y, and Z?
Right.
Because I have one goal. That's my one goal. Now, what I can say is I do want to make you have a great experience as a surgeon, as anesthesia, as my scrub tech. I want everybody to have a great experience. But if you're doing something that's out of pocket, even to my scrub techs, I'm going to say something
That's right. Hmm.
because it's so unfair how people are treated. I've seen surgeons tell scrub techs off. I've seen them tell anesthesia off. I've seen them fighting across the patient.
Oh my goodness.
They in here arguing across the patient.
Oh my gosh.
Can y'all cut it out?
Oh my goodness. Mm.
But I do want to circle around because this is the Evolve Nursing. You're more than just a nurse, you're also a mom. And now you are a homeschooling mom. Can
Yeah.
you dive a little bit deeper into your homeschooling journey?
Well, I'm gonna be honest because I feel a lot of guilt about it because taking my children out of public school had been on my mind for a while, and I was thinking like my youngest child, I'm like, man, I knew everything wasn't developmental. I was like, I'm pretty sure my kid is dyslexic.
Mhm,
um I was just seeing things, and both of my children are neurodivergent. So my oldest one is like mildly autistic. He just has like the social things. And then my youngest one has ADHD, and I did not go as far as getting him diagnosed with dyslexia because it wasn't going to change how I taught him.
mhm,
I already knew how I needed to teach him. So I was like, I'm not even going to put a label on you because you're home with me now and we
mhm,
know what to do about this. But um, my oldest child was really having a hard time in school. He's like, my kid is smarter than me. Like, he is so smart. And it's hard for him to have conversations with children his age because he
mhm,
he gets a little bored and he just kind of talks on this level and everybody else, talks like normal kids.
mhm,
Um, and he was just having a really hard time. And I will back up and tell you this. When I was nervous about this class that I put my son in fourth grade because it was an all black class. And I said, same thing happened in third grade now, and I moved him.
mhm,
But he wanted to stay in this class. And I said, when you look at the demographics of Tift County, explain why this classroom looks like this.
mm.
I I did not understand.
I'm giving you
Um,
side eye.
yeah. And so when it was in third grade, I said, you can't tell me it's testing because they haven't taken a milestone test yet. So what is this? Um, and nobody gave me a good answer. It's a long story. It
Mhm,
really is. But his fourth grade year, same thing happened again. They put him in an all black classroom, and I thought maybe it'll be okay because he did have a black teacher. And he said himself, well, mom, I do have a couple friends in here. And I asked his teacher, I said, how is this class structured? I asked, this is fourth grade. And she said, oh, based off different things, how they tested and everything. I'm like, okay, so you mean to tell me all the black kids tested the same. But okay, whatever. My son was like, please, please, mom, just like leave it alone, leave it alone. I want to stay in this class. I want to stay in this class. Okay. Mind you, now the class was bare, completely bare. There was first year of school, there was nothing on the walls. And I remember telling her, I was like, my son's a little bit different, you know. And she said, no, he's not different. He's just like every other kid. She said, there is no such thing as different kids.
I'm
Like,
girl.
okay. Okay. So 2 weeks go by and there was issues and more issues. And I will admit, like at that time I was going through trying to get my business started. Like I had like a personal, I was doing like prenatal classes. I had so much going on myself. And I felt like the school thing, I thought, well, she's a black teacher. She'll advocate for him. It's going to be okay. And my son was also on Zoloft at the time because he was dealing with some depression issues from bullying that had happened last year.
Mhm.
So, anyway, the nail just kind of hit its head. Like I was supposed to go to Africa, and then I had to cancel my trip. And literally 3 days after I canceled my trip, my son's teacher found a suicide note. Like, and he had it where it was not meant to be found. And he had not found his plan, but he was actively searching for his plan. My trip to Africa was like a week and something. I could have lost my, so I just seen God's hand just intervene because I was like, oh, why did this trip get canceled? I was so irritated, and I'm like, I cannot imagine being in Africa and finding this out and trying to get home. So I just knew. I was like, I've got to take him out. And we put him in inpatient treatment, learned even more things. And I was like, okay, that settles it. You're never going back, and neither is your brother. So then we thought about private schools. And I looked into, there's one here, and I looked into the classical education, and realized how Eurocentric it was. I mean, like, don't teach Black history at all.
We're talking
Um,
about Tiff County.
yeah. And I
Most
was like,
South Georgia.
yeah, especially these private Christian schools, like it's very Eurocentric, very. And I just knew what I had to do. I was like, you know what? I had like two other jobs. I left them. Completely left my other two jobs. Stayed a full-time midwife. But that schedule is very flexible. And I honestly just changed my whole life around to just be more focused on my kids. And that's how we started our homeschool journey, was really to save my oldest son because he was just spiraling. I realized I really didn't know him like I thought I did because I was just so
Mhm.
focused on my career and advocating for women, and the people who needed me most were my own kids. So it was a very hard lesson to learn, very hard lesson to learn. But I'm thankful they are thriving. Um, we love homeschool. I hate that it took so much for me to really just realize I needed to do what I need to do, but
Mhm.
um I'm just thankful for it. I really am. So now it's like I want to have another baby and homeschool it. It's so much, like when I first had my
Just grabbed
kids,
another baby. Come here.
yeah, like I want a whole different experience. My first two kids, I was in my I got pregnant my first one at 19, very early. And I was parenting off the seat of my pants, like, trying to go to school and just so busy. And now that like I've reached 30 and, I'd wait till I finish a doctoral school, but I'm in a different place financially. I'm in a different place because I'm married. And it's like I could really parent
Baby.
intentionally, you know?
Mhm.
So,
I think that that's important, and I do think
mhm.
that getting that experience would be beautiful for you. And I also want to say, don't beat yourself up.
Yeah, thank you.
It was no way that you were going to know what was happening. I know that your intuition is say take him out of school then,
Yeah.
but the way that our mind works is like we oftentimes be like, okay, so it's not. I don't think it's that going on like that. But for them to have those kids in a classroom like a prison cell,
Hmm.
that's disrespectful, and I feel like it's happening to so many kids in that school system.
And see, I have tried to bring this up to other Black moms.
Mhm.
And when I say other, I brought up to only two other moms. And they thought I was tripping. It was like, well, don't you want them in the all Black class? I'm like, but it's not supposed to be like that.
Yeah.
It's like this county is like what, like 42% African American? Like the class should be a representation of demographics. Like it shouldn't look like this.
Yes, and I think that what you're seeing and what I'm seeing is that it's showing that they're segregating the students off,
Hmm.
but they're doing it within the school. So now, of course, other people, they're like, so yeah, you would want them to be in an all black class, but if you look at the broad spectrum of things, what type of education are the kids getting?
Yeah.
That their other counterparts are like, they're getting their education, you're getting this education. You have no stimulating material around the room. These are children.
Yep.
What are they doing? How are they playing? How are they speaking to one another? How is the teacher speaking to them? Especially
Hmm.
with you hearing that this teacher just said that no child is different, which means that there are children who have different abilities that aren't being fostered because she doesn't care about what they like, dislike, how they learn. So it is very important because because as I said, I'm from Cook County. And
Hmm.
so I was the only black person in a all white honors class.
Yep. Me. Yep. Story of
And
my life.
so then we understand what tokenism looks like. That's why we look at it
Mhm.
in a different lens, because we know that we were the token. We understand what it looks like to be a token. We also recognize that the disadvantage that other students had who did not get the same experiences as us,
Yep.
or like the simple fact that I got a call to come to the office to sign up for scholarships, knowing that somebody else has a better GPA than me, but they aren't in all honors classes.
Oh, yeah. Hmm.
So recognizing that, understanding the disadvantages, and then recognizing what type of person of color they thought I was.
Yep.
So when you see
Absolutely.
it from that lens, it's like, yeah, they are really trying to keep these students from learning what they should be learning in order for them to propel forward. And guess
Mhm.
what? The school to prison pipeline happens.
Uh-huh. Yep.
So I'm glad you yank your babies right on up, yank them
I
right on up out of that
do.
school and
I
did what you needed to do. And there are so many other parents who probably need to do the same thing. And
Hmm.
sometimes you don't have to go full homeschool. Sometimes you can do the online and still go based on the school's curriculum, or you can do a flex where they're able to learn at their own pace. A lot of those students, and I would say here where I live, is a lot of different opportunities. Like they have, we only got one high school in our cities. They have
Hmm.
like 20 high schools. They have schools dedicated to science, dance,
Uh-huh.
technology,
So many
healthcare.
opportunities. Yeah.
I'm like, my baby is about to be 3. I need to figure out what school he going to now,
Yeah. Yeah.
like right now.
Hmm.
And they do have all black private schools here.
Wow.
Hmm. They have a few all black private schools here.
Wow. And see, I didn't even know a thing existed. Unless you
Mhm.
talk about colleges, I didn't even know. Wow.
And it's structured like college.
Wow.
But with all that being said, y'all,
Woo.
yes, I
Yeah.
really do want to thank you so much for coming onto the podcast, for
Yeah.
giving all of these great stories to those who are coming into healthcare and to those who want to be a nurse midwife. You can definitely go to her page, follow her, look at what she's gone through. And then, if this is something that you really want to do, if you know at age of 5 that you're going to birth some babies,
I
go
knew
for
it.
it.
I
Go
knew
for it.
it.
And you know what? your story isn't the only story that I've heard like that. There are people who said that someone came up to them and thought that they were crazy because they were a midwife, but when they were a kid, they told somebody that they was gonna catch babies for a living.
Mhm. You know it. It's in you. It's in you.
It's in you, it's on you, and all of that. But I really do want to say thank you for coming onto the podcast because you did not have to come on here, but you did.
Thank you
I
for having me.
No problem. I do appreciate you. And everybody, please, please, please make sure that you follow her. Make sure that you protect yourself, protect your license, get that
Hmm.
spine together, and stand up for yourself, your patients, those around you, because you are going to come into contact with some adversity, but it's okay. It's okay. We
Good.
all are going to come into contact with adversity, but you do have to learn how to speak up for yourself. And with that
Mhm.
being said, y'all have a great, wonderful weekend. Bye.
See you later.